Alonso is back. Did you have any doubts?
It's a good question. Here's the way that I would say it. When the Mets themselves said they were ready to move on, basically, and expected Alonso to sign elsewhere, I kind of moved on and was like, all right, I'm done with it. I don't know, Keith, if you remember a situation like this. I don't. Where, okay, he's going to be back. He turns down multiple deals, and the Mets just get frustrated to a point where they say, okay, like, we're moving on. We don't think he wants what we have to offer, so we're planning without him. He's going to sign elsewhere. And then eventually it comes back. So, I guess I did have doubts, and I mentally moved on, but here we are, and in the last couple of weeks, after Amazing Day, I felt like it was going to happen. After Cohen was transparent and said never say never and talked about the frustrations, I felt that it was going to happen, and I think it's a team-friendly deal, and I think for Alonso, he's betting on himself, which you'd hope it can make him happy for a year, and he's got to go out there and produce now. It's on him.
Yeah, I can't remember another situation like this specifically because, I can't remember another situation where they kind of called a guy's bluff that didn't have any other suitors. That's the thing, right? There was no other offer out there from any other team. And also, I guess the power of the Mets is that you have the owner that could overpay the guy for a year. He's the highest paid first baseman in baseball now. That AAV is super high. Nobody else was going to do that for Pete Alonso. And that's where I guess, in the negotiations, they gave a little bit. They weren't going to give on the years, but they gave the upfront money. They gave the $10 million signing bonus and $30 million a year. He's going to make $40 million this year. Judge makes $40 million this year.
Right, and he's clearly not worth it, right? But the thing that I like about that is that, I was saying yesterday, or a couple of days ago, was it yesterday? It might have been yesterday on BT and Sal, where I started saying, I think it'd be a mistake at this point for the Mets and Pete to reunite under the assumption that he wasn't going to get a deal that was really going to make him happy. The 3-year, $60 million or $70 million. I don't think he was going to love that deal. This, however, you just brought up an excellent point. He's going to be the highest paid first baseman in the sport, and he's getting the $10 million bonus. So for 1 year, he's making $40 million. That's going to make him happy. Now, do I have concerns about him producing when he's betting on himself? I do, and that's not based on, just a feeling. It's based on what happened a year ago, and there's been decline the last 2 years. Everything, though, was set up for Pete to have success. He should be happy because he's the highest paid first baseman in the league. He gets the bonus. He's got Soto around him in that lineup. Vientos, however they want to work it. They are loaded now more so than they've ever been, so there are no more excuses. I don't want to see 217. I don't want to see 30 homers. I want to see 40 homers, over 100 ribbies, 250 average, an impactful season. That is what $30 million plus a $10 million bonus should get you. That's what Pete Alonso should do this year.
Yeah, it's another bet on yourself year. This whole year I was saying that this would play right into the Mets' hands. He has a down year. He ends up having no market. He turns it on in the postseason, which only benefits the Mets, which also makes them more inclined to lean in here, give him the more money. And then the fans show up to Amazing Day. We want Pete, re-sign Pete. They lean in and they give him a little bit more money. But now we're right back to where we were last year. Okay, you're paying him. You're going to want him to produce. Can he do that under the pressure? And what are we thinking now for beyond this year? I've kind of floated out there okay, this guy is going to probably play a little bit more carefree. He's also in a lineup with Juan Soto. Whether he's hitting right behind him or whether he's hitting behind Vientos, we don't know yet. But I think he can get back to being his usual self. Hit, 40 bombs, 45 bombs, maybe have 130 ribbies. If he does that and opts out, it's going to just be him and Vladdy as far as first baseman and, power hitters in the free agent market next year. And the writing may be on the wall for the Mets to still get Vladdy and for Pete to, go back to Toronto and say, hey, remember we were talking last year? You still got some of that money that you wanted to give Ohtani, that you wanted to give Juan Soto? I'm down to take it in 2026.
And I think what this is just delaying the inevitable. I do not believe, now look, it could be proven wrong. It has happened before, but I do think that it's delaying the inevitable and that I don't believe this is going to be a long-term commitment. Even if Pete does go out there and produce, which I think everybody's hoping for. Pete, Scott Boras, the Mets, Cohen, Stearns, the Met fans, they all want Pete Alonso to have a monster year. But if that does happen, he's going to opt out, and the Mets, I still don't think, are going to be willing to give him the long-term deal. I don't even know who else would, but I don't believe the Mets would, even in that scenario. So this may be just another, extension of what we had last year, one more year with Pete. And Mets have a loaded lineup going into this year, so we'll see what happens. But I don't think that this is the long-term commitment that is going to ultimately satisfy Met fans or Pete Alonso.
Yeah, I had a call. The first caller tonight was like, this is a short-term deal or a long-term. I'm like, there's no way. There's no long-term play here. This is really a one-year thing. And I think all parties are content. It's February 6th. Like, they're reporting next week. I know Pete doesn't want to drag this out as other Boris clients did last year, and it affected their season. But here we are again with another Boris client getting, big money up front and an opt-out. I already mentioned Blake Snell. How do you feel this is going to play in the clubhouse? Do you think there's going to be, and I had a call on that as well, animosity, any hard feelings? I'm like, if Pete has any animosity, he should harbor it, channel it, turn it into fuel. But what does he have to be mad about? He's about to make $40 million this year. He's one of the higher paid players, at least for the year, in that clubhouse.
I don't think there would have ever been animosity with his teammates. The teammates seem to love him. I mean, I spoke with Brendan Nimmo. He wanted them back, clearly. I think Pete is beloved by a lot of the players in that clubhouse currently, and I think they had a lot of fun last year. What I was concerned about would have been Pete's mindset if he had to come back with his tail tucked between his legs, not getting the contract that he wanted, and just, you know how it is, like, put yourself in his spot. If you feel like you're not getting what you deserve and you think you've earned more, and then you go back and you see other guys making so much money, and this guy's making that much money, whether it's Nimmo or Lindor or Soto, and you feel hurt when you used to be one of the guys. However, I think that is now eliminated from the equation because he can walk in with his head held high saying, I am the highest paid first baseman in baseball. I am getting $40 million this year if you tack in the bonus, to your point, and I think that that's something that he can be proud of. So I don't expect any animosity between the teammates, and I think Pete should come in with all things considered, being the market what it was and how this thing dragged out. I think Pete should come in relatively happy, knowing that he's got another chance to bet on himself and make potentially even more money after this year.